That's correct.
And we're double checking going up the line. Engine start switch selector is guarded.
Confirmed.
Pulse lights on. And position lights are on. If you could unlock the collective for me.
All right, collective's unlocked.
All right, a little bit less friction, just a tad. Right there is good. Okay. Now let's see what this thing feels like.
All right, coming up.
There is, if you can feel this, have you flown it from this side? There is a little bit of slop in this stick. Kind of a little bit,
pin.
There's a little bit of a click. Okay, coming up. Have the has the garage door spring been compensated for duals?
Yes, it has.
Okay.
There's no collective creep.
All right, RPM rise. There we go.
389.
Unstuck. That's mine, I think. I'm going to have to readjust that. Okay, thank you. CG feels good. A little bit of cyclic displacement to my side. Where's directions our wind coming from? Dead.
That's pretty much dead. And that is, that cyclic displacement is because of the Geneva panel. You changed the vertical cyclic sticks.
Oh, no kidding. All right. So let's hover taxi out to the taxiway.
All right. Got air traffic, experimental helicopter 131 Tango Tail. We'll be working on the Alpha taxiway for a bit. Any traffic, please advise.
Could you switch over to the triple parameter page for me?
Certainly. There you go. The FLI off of that page, huh?
Oh, because I wanted to see what the torque versus the N1 delta was.
Sure.
Right, so I'm just going to kind of align myself a little bit.
Certainly.
If there's any kind of a crosswind or tailwind, see if I can feel it. I know these things are squirrely or below 5 feet, so I think I'm going to try to get it a little lower just to see what the see what it feels like. It's still got a little bit of squirreliness down low.
Let's look at your feed activity, though.
I'm trying to keep them pretty steady. I'm not doing anything until it gets a little... And to turn tail your way?
Tail clear.
Turning.
The only thing we'll have to watch is this sign over here.
I've got that in sight. I'll try to stay. I'm not going to turn tail towards the runway. Okay, I'm going to pull it up to a little bit higher hover.
All right.
Be right at the threshold of, 5 feet, maybe a little higher. Right about there, 6 or 7 feet. Turning tail my way, tail's clear.
All right.
You do have a breath of wind. You can feel it. You can hear it in the rotors.
Yeah, it looks like the anemometer on the billing's showing kind of coming from like the south.
Yeah. Okay. From here, it's basically, you tell me what you think we should do to accomplish it in an efficient manner to showcase what...
I'd like you to fly the aircraft a little bit. Maybe do a couple patterns, maybe do a high performance takeoff, just kind of get the feel of the aircraft before we go doing that. That way you can kind of get an overall feel of the aircraft and kind of compare it to what you're normally used to.
So what pattern would you recommend out of here?
We can just do right traffic on runway 6. So we can come up here and then just take off 6 bound.
Okay, headed to Alpha 2?
Yeah, we can do that. It's no traffic, no tower, so we can go to Alpha 2 and then we can just take off to the south, or we can just take off from there and to the west. Whichever you please. Right now winds are showing right at about 3.5 knots or so. 5 knots at 276, so.
Yeah, you could we're right there on that nice little edge of translational lift, effective translational lift, and ground effect.
Indeed.
And all kinds of noise.
Got a scenario traffic experimental helicopter 131 Tango Tail. We'll be taking active taxiway Alpha 2 for departure pattern. You can do 2-4, which is short that way, or you can go 6, which is kind of a slight downwind, crosswind takeoff.
Let's do an into the wind to begin with.
So we'll go 2-4. And it'll be left traffic for 2-4, so we'll be on that side. And got a scenario traffic experimental 1 Tango Hotel. We'll be left traffic for 2-4.
Clear my way.
And clear on the right.
And coming out, temperatures and pressures are good, stabilized. Our fan is not working. 79 degrees on the temperature. Shouldn't that thing be kicking on at 77? There it goes. Just hit. 80 degrees. And lights are out. Everything's good. I'm going to get down a little bit lower.
All right.
The ground effect. Just do a standard takeoff.
All right.
Okay, here we go. Here's one thing I noticed. Don't have that massive left pedal input to get it in trim. I was expecting that. Where is it?
Okay.
It was numero uno. That big, okay, you're at 40 knots. Hurry up and put in 3 inches of left pedal. Didn't happen.
So memory.
All right, so VY at 8,000 feet is what, 60?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay.
Actually, if it's 55, to be honest, and it actually at 12,000 goes down to 50, so anywhere 55 to 60, you're in good shape.
It's 65 on the way
King
down.
Air 83 Kilo Bravo is 20 miles east of the field, inbound for runway 24 Gunnison.
Gunnison Air Traffic Experimental Helicopter 131 Tango Hotel. We'll be on a left downwind for runway 24. Advise when you get a little closer and we'll clear.
All right, thanks.
Yeah, the transition, I'm flying it a little bit out of trim. I'm just trying to feel what the
Absolutely.
tail rudder
Trust me,
feels
I've
like
flown
here.
it a lot out of trim. That's some of our testing. This is good. That's why you get up, feel the aircraft, see what it's doing, do a few patterns. Best way to show you what it does is to let you do it.
It's a very linear pedal input for trim, going through 30, 40 knots, which is what I was looking for. I was looking for that, that low aspect. Okay, where's my fin coming in? Oh, shit, there it goes. I did do a little bit of a decel on downwind here.
Traffic. BLR test vehicle is going to be transferring from general aviation ramp on taxiway.
A little less friction if you could.
Runway crossing.
It's like the disc just got jammed. There we go. I hate those damn discs. I wish they'd come up with something else. Okay, another notice. This is for note for the recording. Moderate deceleration. A very smooth linear pedal input for trim, but not much. Not a big stab. Same thing on power application, repower application. I haven't gone past power pedal. I'm actually pedal neutral. And we are almost 25 knots, 30 knots of airspeed.
Yep, so about 27.
And the pedals feel pretty docile. I'm going to throw it out of trim to the right using power pedal. It's pretty smooth. You say that was about a 40 to 45 degree out of trim condition?
Gunnison traffic, King Air 3 Kilo Bravo is 10 miles east out of 13 and a half. We'll plan on entering on a left base, runway 24 Gunnison.
No twitchiness.
All right.
If I was doing that before, I would have a little bit of the...
Yeah, hunt.
Yeah. Here's our King Air.
He's 10 miles out on a left base for 2-4.
I'm going to go over this and then do a longer final.
And so you want to head out and let him in?
Probably be better.
All right, King Air inbound and experimental helicopter. We're going to extend our downwind a bit, do some testing, let you inbound, so we should be no factor.
All right, where are y'all currently?
We're currently just south of the field, just about a mile, heading southeastbound.
All right, sounds good. We're About 8 miles to the southeast, and we'll be entering on a turn on left base now.
Got him in sight.
And Charlie Hill, we have you in sight.
I think right up there, 1 o'clock.
King 3 Kilo Bravo, turn to left base, runway 24, Gunnison.
All right, for the note, power application back up to fairly cruise airspeed was not a lot of right pedaling.
Gunnison area traffic, BLR test vehicles holding short at Alpha 3 for runway crossing for landing traffic, Gunnison traffic.
Do another decel here.
Right. Collective friction, I'll just take a touch off, but
that feels good. I like the way you've got it balanced. Once again on decel, not a lot of pedal input to keep it in trim, fairly smooth and linear. Not a lot of twitchiness in the nose as we decelerate through the airspeed range. Side of the power curve, reapplication of power. I haven't had to put any right pedal in yet. I haven't had to go past almost zero thrust.
it's very good that you're recognizing. Good.
So look at our trim string.
At
Basically,
20 knots.
well, we're almost null, the trim string, and I'm still at zero thrust on the tail rotor. Okay.
Gunnison traffic, King Air 3 Kilo Bravo, turning final for runway 24, Gunnison.
I have an eagle out my side. I'm going to execute a left turn for looky-loo.
Right, and just clear.
Clear except for the bird.
Sounds good. Keep an eye on the B1RD.
There he is. 11 o'clock. You're down.
Got him.
This seems like a pretty good area right here.
That's a
Do you
great
mind
area.
if I took it to zero airspeed?
Oh, go right ahead.
Okay.
Emergency areas would be this road or the valley right there.
Or in front of me, it's got a couple flats in a road.
Sounds great. That'd be better into the wind.
And coming through zero airspeed, let's let the nose pitch down a little bit.
All right, torque margins and one margins look good.
There it goes. It just settled into a hover. And I am probably maybe just a skosh past zero thrust on the tail rotor, maybe adding a little bit now. There it goes.
And you got a little bit of a climb going.
And I got a little bit of a quartering tailwind, so I'm going to go push forward to the right. Back into a hover. How's our VSI?
Still climbing just a touch. Probably about 100 feet a minute.
Okay, for the note, a significant increase in stability of the yaw control in an ambiguous clock angle on any kind of wind. I feel it coming through my window, so I'm drifting a little bit. And I'm also pushing left cycling, so. Ah, cool, okay, reacceleration.
All right.
Your translational lift. Airspeed's alive. Nominal smooth linear input on the tails to get it back into trim coming through 60. And then the low speed at 65, 70. Now, I can definitely see an improvement just on the stability. It's damped. It feels a lot more damped. Not having to work so hard. The reactions of the tail from ambiguous wind flow have kind of stuck in glue. They're not so erratic. In the hover, I couldn't notice that much down low, but that's could be something. That's why I wanted a little twitchy wind. Okay,
Absolutely.
Shall we do a pattern?
Certainly. King Air is just pulling off Alpha 2, it looks like.
Got him in sight.
Gunnison air traffic, experimental helicopter 131 Tango Till will be on left base for 24 left close traffic. Gunnison, we have the King Air pulling off in sight.
Gunnison traffic, King Air 3 Kilo Bravo is clearing 24, Gunnison.
And we are clear on the right, sir.
Okay.
Gunnison area traffic, BLR test vehicle crossing active runway 24 and 6 at Alpha 3, Gunnison traffic.
Cleared across the street.
And we are cleared across the street.
All right, what do you usually aim for here? A taxiway intersection or the aim point?
Whatever works best for you.
Right.
But taxiway, you can go to runway, pick the numbers, pick the
Do the aim
sidebars.
point. What's that?
And Gunnison area traffic, BLR test vehicle clear of active runway, Gunnison traffic.
Yeah, note on the power change, the pedals have become silky. That's a really good way to describe it, that it's not hunt and peck as much anymore where you're staring at the string. Feels like it's a little bit more intuitive and almost feels like it's coupled. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the kind of approach that we normally do into a confined area. So I'm using that lower airspeed or backside of the power curve power margin, where typically that noticeable angle from a relative wind is what you're always having to wrestle with on the pedals.
See that concrete pad right behind the lake? That's the tethered hover pad. That's a good spot if you want to go in and simulate out, or if you want to pick the runway, that's fine too.
Can continue on and go where the test vehicle's going. How's that?
That sounds great.
All right,
it's our tethered hover pad, so just aim for the pad because that's all concrete and around it's dirt. So
once again, power to a mid-cruise power change. Not a lot of pedal work. Not a lot of cyclic work. Your track looks pretty good.
Yeah, the 3-per's a little bit high is what I feel. Okay, we're going to be coming into the hover pad as a test point here, so we'll be there in a bit.
I think your 3-pers are good. I don't see the glare shield whopping around. All right, I'm going to modify my approach to be more into the reported wind.
All right.
And I will make it a powered approach.
39's the wind, so it's just right about out of this. So I'm
going to see how this lets me feel where that wind is. So right now I'm doing a decel for the relative wind.
Okay, we are inbound for the hover pad, guys. Inbound for the hover pad, please clear.
Okay, I can feel the relative wind, and I'm doing a little bit of compensation. I can see the string. Feels like right here is where it wants to be.
Clear the hover pad, please.
Okay, coming through about 150 feet, 200 feet. We'll go around.
Right.
Application of go-around power.
Test you, read. And test vehicle, are you on 122.7?
That is affirmative.
Go ahead and clear the hover pad. We're going to be doing an approach in there. Got a bird right at 1 o'clock.
Let me remove the stuff on the pad.
Okay, so the reapplication of go-around power, which wasn't terrible, also silky. Very predictable, not twitchy. We got a wrapped up string, which doesn't matter because I can still kind of feel it, but even still, not a lot of footwork. Overall, it's nice to fly a helicopter. It's not vibrating.
Well, good. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
See, when your nuts and your eyes tickle, something's wrong. Okay, I'm going to abbreviate. I'm going to stay outside the hills, give us this nice little field.
And Gunnison Air Traffic Experiment 1 Tango tells midfield left base for H1 hover pad, Gunnison. And we are clear on the right.
And clear on the left, and they're still at the pad, so I'll slow it down a little bit.
He cleared the cone and a bore down the pad for us. He's clearing right now.
Dan, where I work normally, my realm is 20 to 0.
Exactly.
That's where my realm is. Where I feel
clear.
Thank you. Where I feel most comfortable and where I can really feel the personality of a helicopter is doing what we do for human external cargo rescue. And that's the transition from approach, where we're never really going above 60 knots, into areas where we're doing multiple approaches, heading changes, moving, like technical approaches.
Majority of our testing is all between 0 and 40 knots.
Right, I'm going to come down and intercept a little bit again. So
Certainly.
I know my rate of descent's high, but that's okay. I'm
no
not
cautions,
get
no warnings. We're looking good.
Let it weather vane a tad if it wants to. I'm going to back it off just a little bit because my angle is still underneath me. It feels like my angle's still underneath me. Okay, here's going to be my final approach heading. Not a lot of pedal work. It kind of settled into it with a slight power application.
Showing about 13 knots ground speed.
And our string is ambiguous. The rotors went quiet, so we're under effective. And still not a lot of pedal work, not twitchy. I can almost friction the controls down and let go, and it'll just maintain this. I don't even have to tend it. I can take my feet off the pedals. It'll wander a little bit, but pedal stab, pedal stab, pedal stab. Did you notice, when you first started flight testing, did you notice a damping of stabbing pedal input? Does the tail boom tend to dampen that?
Dampens greatly. We have data to prove it.
Yeah, I just felt that because I went pedal stab, and it doesn't go that kick, kick.
And yet still crisp.
It's there, but it's not giving us that translational, or yeah, translating twitch. Coming into a high hover, should be picking up some kind of ground effect here pretty quickly.
Right about there.
And I'm not going to add any collective. See what happens.
Absolutely. Find its cushion.
Gunnison traffic, Twin Cessna 310 Whiskey Delta, 18 miles
right about there.
to the west for landing, runway
Pedal inputs.
6 at Gunnison.
Extremely stable on heading control.
Our call altimeter is 3031, and
I'm going to do a pedal turn.
Clear on the right.
And clear on the left is going to be a power pedal turn.
Looks like they're on the hover pad right now, on the south side of the runway.
Margins in, one margins.
Okay, thank you. We'll keep, we're planning on a straight end to runway 6, and if he decides to do anything, let us know.
So I'm trying to keep a constant pitch in the tail rotor and see what rate it's going to move at. And I'm trying to keep the power right where it should be. Okay, there's a little bit of acceleration, so we do have a little bit of a tailwind right there.
Yeah, we're showing about 4.3 knots at 115. Lakes show pretty calm.
Very predictable and damped. I didn't touch the pedals once I made that input, and it just settled right back into here. Basically, I made a slight adjustment. Yeah, damped. It's basically what it did is it took it from being like a rough knife to like a velvet, smooth, polished butter knife. Okay, you want to do a X performance takeoff?
Sure, we've got a Twin Cessna, and the Twin Cessna inbound for Gunnison. Can you give me a status of your position?
Yes, sir. We're 13 miles to the west, straight in for runway 6, if that works for you guys.
That would be great. We will remain southeast of the field and remain clear of the active.
Roger that. This is the helicopter?
Yes, sir. Experimental 131 Tango Hotel.
Roger, thanks.
Our fan
Stationary traffic, Experimental 1 Tango 2 will be taken off the hover pad on the southeast side of the field, remained southeast of the runway, and will be left close traffic for the hover pad. All right.
So you think the wind's coming favoring east now?
Looking at all of the wind socks, I mean, they're all really just calm. Our ground station's telling me 119, so kind of right from this area.
So how about we take off over that horse? Clear area is going to be between the horse and the cows or the other horses.
Sounds great.
And I'm not going to go full power, but I'll do a smooth application as we climb.
Worries.
I get back into ground effect to see what that feels like. Even still, it's damped. I'm not working the pedals. I'm really basically just dead putting it. I put it where I want it and it kind of holds it.
Excellent.
With minor adjustments in power, minor wiggles from the ground effect in and out and under the fuselage, but the heading is pretty much stabilized. Okay, our fan is running again. Temperatures and pressures are good. And it looks like we may end up getting an N1 margin, so here we go. Are you ready?
I am ready.
Slow application.
Margins look good. Coming up on N1 margin, 97.8. Plenty of margin, 98.2. Just coming up on torque, 98.6. Looking good. No issues.
Airspeed alive. Oh, yes, no. What does this say we're going downwind?
Well, what we've noticed under high angles and high power settings, the pitot tube becomes ineffective.
Absolutely. So was this string was ambiguous. Okay, another note for the record. I hardly put any right pedal in for that increase in power. I did put some, but not a lot. Then the level off and increase in airspeed.
Whiskey Delta's 5 miles.
Hardly any pedal input to get it back to a trim condition and a cruise speed around 60.
And Gunnison traffic experimental helicopters cleared to the southeast will remain southeast of the runway.
A lot less work.
Excellent.
More stable. I was watching my feet too, because sometimes I actually just say, did I actually move it? How much? Get rid of that muscle memory and say, let's go back to actually tracking what that change is. I'll tell you what I'd like to do.
Okay.
I want to see how much this tail boom is going to assist this tail rotor. So if we could go out, and I'd like you to, I'll get some, make sure that we're away from that, that airplane. If you could isolate the tail rotor, let me fly on load compensator and see what that's like through the power changes.
All right.
You got him in sight yet?
Yeah, not yet. He's 5 miles.
Get away from these houses. This is fun, Dan.
Yeah, isn't it? I really enjoy my job. Mike has afforded me the opportunity to be able to run this flight test organization, and it has been a learning experience. I love getting out with guys like you with tons of experience that I can learn from. I'm always willing to learn. So it's great.
Don't blow smoke on my ass. You're the test flight engineer.
It is definitely nice to get out with other pilots and see, you know, because you get accustomed to the aircraft. You get accustomed to areas in sight. No factor about.
I got him. Okay. I'm going to turn back around your way. We'll stay over this flat area. We won't need to go up into the rocks.
Sounds good. You are clear right, except for him on final.
Got it.
And 0 Whiskey Delta, short final, runway 6,
Gunnison traffic will be experimental 1 Tango. Tail will be working southeast of the airport to remain clear.
Thank you.
And test, all ops normal.
A little bit of a power reduction here. Okay, so this mid-pitch, mid-power power reduction, airspeed between 70 to 55 to 50, I didn't even move my pedals. So it seems like there's a lot of an airflow effect on there just from changing airflow with a little bit of a climb, a little bit of a turn, or the torque effect from what we had in cruise to what I needed to take away to that power reduction there. It was almost nullified on the tail rotor.
As you increase power, the airflow over the tail boom changes, which the airflow effect from the wing structure changes also to help compensate all of that.
So here we go, we're pulling power back in again. Once again, that low airspeed regime. I actually did a little bit too much of a right pedal input, and you saw the right yaw there. I didn't need to do it. Now I'm back to almost 0 thrust.
Right.
Okay, so if you could,
right,
isolate the tail rotor for me.
Right, are you confirmed switch?
Confirmed, isolate.
Okay. Isolate is on.
0 Whiskey Delta, clearing the active Gunnison.
Yeah, it is 0 thrust. See, I told you. I felt like it was 0 thrust. You just isolated. It's 0 thrust. Hey, Bob, look, no hands. It's stable. And you can see there's a little bit of flow, not ambiguous, so we still have a little bit of translational, but 0 thrust on the tail rotor needed to be able to maintain 56.57% torque. That's the airflow. If we didn't have that on there, what torque would I be pulling right now?
I know, it's a lot less.
How much pedal would I be inputting? A lot more. I'd be pushing against my load compensator right now. Right. I'm going to do another steep approach with the hydraulics off. If you would man that at any point in time, if you feel uncomfortable, you can just put it back on.
Certainly.
Right, so I'm going to get back up to a little bit of a cruise airspeed here.
You're going to back into the hover pad?
Yeah.
All right, we'll make another approach into the hover pad with the tail rotor in test mode.
Significant pressure to push against the load compensator because the less amount of torque, which is not unexpected for me, and I don't really care about that.
That left pedal is tremendous on this aircraft, even without this mod.
I don't care about that. What I care about is when we pull the power in. How hard do I have to work to put it down on that log landing? Because because I'm low on fuel, and that's the only place I have to go is down in the trees to the log landing.
And Gunnison Air Traffic Experimental Helicopter 131 Tango Tail will be on a right base for the hover pad, will remain southeast of the active.
Okay, so holding almost
and
limit of that
would come down the back
pedal. Keep it in trim with a little bit of a dive and a little bit of extra airspeed.
Yeah,
so we're working
copy.
against the fin.
Gunnison Unicom, citation 610 Golf Golf. We're about 23
to the west, inbound, or 20 to the east, inbound, Gunnison, airport advisory, please.
Directions 153.
Golf, Gunnison, you coming?
Alright, we're inbound to the test site there, so just clear there.
And there's a helicopter.
Gotta get the cone out of the way, stand by.
Doing some work out there.
Okay, 16 Golf, Roger, we'll look.
Citation's about 20 miles away, should be no factor.
And I'll keep an eye on the taxiing aircraft.
He's just getting the cone out of the way, he will be clear.
So I want to get this thing slowed up to the regime where it's comfortable and I'm getting
And you
getting
tell
some
me
assistance.
when you want the load compensator and all that turned back to normal.
Okay, we're good for now. Keep it where it is. I'll get set up pretty well on the back side of the power curve again. We can get it back to that very comfortable zero thrust position and let the tail boom do the work.
That is clear.
That's clear.
Copy, thank you. And you're garbled on that radio.
It's getting better. I have to do hydraulics off training with my guys in the single hydraulics helicopters with a bottle and a 200-foot line to bring it back to the pad.
That's good, because that's where most of the accidents happen with these aircraft, with hydraulic failures.
Yeah. So my guys all do they can fly in this regime with somebody on the end of the line with the hydraulics off and not panic. Ah, look at that. I just relaxed my feet.
All right, showing about 13 knots ground speed, zeroed out on the airspeed indicator.
And it's weather vaning because the report on the ground's showing about 175 right now. And it feels like it. I just went to zero thrust and look where the nose is pointed. Now the tail boom is taking some of it for me.
Got a traffic citation 610 Golf, about...
And it's stable.
15.
I'm not getting twitchy, I'm not having to work against it.
Inbound, runway 24, Gunnison.
There's a little bit of application of right pedal that I need right there. But even still, it's not a
Yeah, that's excellent.
It's damped. So you don't have a feeling of over-controlling. It's linear. Okay, I'm going to expect... Oh, what's our rate of descent? Oh, we're enough for whatever power we have here is
We're
probably
about
going to...
300 feet per minute.
So ground effect should stop us without any addition of power, so I'm not expecting any application of pedal. And this should be a non-event, actually.
Absolutely.
And there it is. There's ground effect. I actually have a little bit too much pedal pressure in there, and I just felt the airflow take over on the tail boom and relax my pedals. Any weather veining may be because of a relative wind, I'm sure. Because it's not from application of power. It's pretty good. Okay, I'm going to take off.
Okay.
Once we get level and at altitude, I'll neutralize the pedal and you can re-energize.
All right, sounds great.
All right.
Gunnison Air Traffic Experimental 1 Tango Toby taking off hover pad will remain southeast of the active runway.
Got a traffic citation.
Temperatures and pressures, no lights, fan is not running.
Runway 24, Gunnison.
Parameters are good. Here we go.
All right. Good.
I'm going to have to expect having to pull a little bit of right power pedal, but we'll see what the airflow does to help me out. Look at that. Pedal forces are neutralized. Airflow across the tail boom took most of the brunt of the power increase. Non-event. A go around with hydraulics failure is a non-event. And the horse is pissing.
It's a key factor.
Okay, coming up on 55. I have neutralized my tail at zero thrust. Go ahead and re-energize.
All right, relax.
Relaxed.
And coming back on now. All right, should be restored.
Wiggle, wiggle, non-event.
Excellent.
Cool. Is there anything that you want to show me that's a little bit more... my feel out's always the fine stuff. It's that low speed, higher power, you know, those itty-bitty margins where you can really tell the difference, just so I can see what the modified aircraft, not having flown the unmodified aircraft, just to see what it feels like.
You're pretty much picking out all of your operational things to where this kit shines. You know, I can show you how we do directional testing, but it doesn't really apply to what you're doing. It shows pedal margins, it shows how stable the aircraft is, it does all of that. best operationally seeing and doing what you're doing. Way it's not pointed.
I'd like to do one more.
Okay.
I want to get a little bit outside. If there's anybody out here traffic-wise, I want to give myself a good pad, and I want to do a settling with power recovery, and I want to see what the directional control feels like.
All right, what's your procedure for that?
What I do is I start from a fairly low airspeed, and I just pitch up to about 5 degrees, and I just hold what I have, and I just kind of let it fall through, and when I feel it get light, then I just recover.
Your recovery technique?
The recovery technique usually is to slide a little bit off to the side, and then maybe a little bit of pedal away from what my last track was to try to find a relative wind.
Now let's get up a little bit altitude to give ourselves time. Sometimes the settling with power on these things get out of hand.
Agree. We've got one that's I call it the insidious entry, to show people like when they're doing bucket work. I always want them to pull power and level the nose before they enter a rate of descent. I say, okay, give us this nice, comfortable, decelerative attitude. Just hold it. Don't pitch up. Just hold what you got in that little 5-degree nose-up attitude, and just wait. And wait, and keep the nose right there. And they go, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Next thing you know, it's falling through, and they're like, shit, I didn't even do anything. We got our traffic.
Negative. And citation inbound for Gunnison. Can you give me a position report?
10 Golf 4 mile final, 2-4 straight in.
Sounds great. We're southeast field, remain clear of the active. We'll be looking for you.
I'm looking. I got him. It's just below the lower hills.
Bonanza 551 Delta Bravo. We are 20 miles to the east, inbound.
Right up top, just east of the W.
And we have you in sight, no factor.
Thanks. Got the traffic citation 640 Golf 3 mile final, straight in, runway 24 gun.
Another one coming in. All right. Are you cool with this?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right now, so I'll show you. It's a really, really smooth entry and usually a smooth exit.
All right. Usually part.
Yeah. So the reason I do it that way, instead of trying to do it from a hover and then induce something and pulling up on the collective, is because it's how everybody gets into it without knowing it, because they think, oh, I'm just gliding in here on this nice mid-lower power decel, when
I
I'm
always
like, no.
get the power in
Exactly.
early. Establish I have the power available.
It's built in.
Then I'm good. Yeah.
It's built into my DNA that you do that. But a lot of guys don't. I had a guy rip the belly out of a 205 because he did that. And he came in with that, you know, that typical 205 flat belly deceleration where you push a little bit too far down on the collective, and he let it just start to fall through, and then he tried to catch it, and it fell through, and he caught the bucket in the water and went, oh shit. And it just bell clappered the cargo hook. Okay.
All right.
Runway environment's in sight. I got him on the ground.
Okay, we're clear on the right.
8 knots of airspeed. So here's what I'll do, Dan. If you don't like it at any time, feel free, take the controls. But I'm going to try to do this pretty easily. I'm going to first decelerate to a level nose attitude, so I don't have to do a lot of nose pitch up.
All right.
Okay, somewhere like around in here.
All right.
I'll say, okay, if you wanted to decel, that last little bit of decel, we have our power set. It's a good power setting because we're still above translation on the left. I just pull the nose up real gently, about 5 degrees, and I just hold it. So, okay, watch what happens. Don't let it pitch up, don't let it pitch down, just hold it.
There she starts falling right there.
Not yet. Now, that's in it. Then a kick out, goes down, get out of the column, airspeed alive, and recover. So I hardly move my tail rotor.
Good.
Still settling with power, but it wasn't a violent, you know, once we were like descending in the column.
Absolutely,
like
yeah, it kicks you left and right.
Yeah, no, that was actually pretty good.
Good.
Still settling with power, but you know. I'm cool. If you wanted to demonstrate, you know, the pedal margins for sideward flight, I'd like to let you take the controls so I can kind of feel along, but I'm not going to throw it into it right away.
Yeah, I want all the traffic to clear, because we'll go over the runway and do it.
Just that I like the delicate stuff.
That's what flight test is. It's all precision, delicate work, and that's what makes it a challenge. Makes it a great challenge. You did your OGE hover.
Yep. It was very stable. We did hydraulics off.
All right. Did settling with power. What I would like to do is maybe climb up, do an auto-rotated glide to the runway. or out here. That way you can feel it in an auto rotation.
For left pedal margin?
Just, yeah, for letdown margin, stability as far as directional control and other things. So let's go ahead and we climb up a bit. That way you get a nice, good glide and be able to feel it out.
Okay, turning my way.
All
clear. Right. What's your, what target altitude? You want to go 10, 11?
Let's traffic bonanza 551 Delta Bravo, 14 mile final, straight in 24. Guys.
I'll look for him. See him yet.
This aircraft's been a really good aircraft to us.
Before we come get back into the pattern, what I would like to do is an MCP cruise with as much airspeed as we could to see what our margins feel like.
It's good.
Mike had said that the main rotor RPM regime for all this and the performance charts were for 389. I'm like, I think it's 394, but I don't know. Well, it really depends on XPC.
And not to be crass, you're both wrong.
What is it?
386.
The performance charts on the 2B1 are assuming that the main rotor RPM was where?
2B1? I think it's 386, but for this aircraft, I've confirmed it. It's 386.
Okay, because it doesn't tell you on the performance chart.
Oh, it should.
Like on the bells, it all says 100%. Everything's based on 100%.
Right.
Oh, look at that. We're getting that little wind shear layer up here. Right there. We're no longer in the bubble. Just went through the inversion.
And that's the thing. This is the bubble right over Gunnison.
Yeah. What's our temperature? What did it just do?
Outside temperature, actually.
8483.
We took off about 8.3 on the ground, so.
There it is. We just have an inverted or a flat lapse rate.
There you go. All right, we'll pick a spot, go into where we think the wind is, preferably to a valley area, and slowly lower the collective, not all the way down, and enter an auto rotation.
How are we positioned? You want me to go out farther and do it towards the runway or towards the runway?
Yeah, we can go out further and then come back around and then shoot kind of to the valley area.
Got it. All right. So looking at 10.5, that's good for me.
That sounds great. Like I said, we'll lower the collective, then roll the throttle off, and then adjust for RPM.
Long left.
In the climbs, in the power adjustments in that mid airspeed range, I've been doing that and been watching the trim strength. I haven't had to do the pedal dance. It's just been fairly, as I said, it's like our tail boom has kind of got stuck in an oil damper. It's just kind of got this very predictable, not out of hand, a little bit out of trim swing, but none of that jerky stabbing of a pedal input that kind of goes before it actually turns the nose.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that little pedal twitch. Yeah, it's not a typical A-star pedal twitch. All right, I'm turning back my way. And we'll look for the scheduled decel. We'll verify the engines are running.
All up, Snarl, we'll be doing a predicted engine failure for auto rotation out here and then power recovery.
Okay, copy that. We've secured the hover pad. Are going to head back to the hangar.
Copy.
All right, do we want to enter at a target airspeed?
Yeah, about 60 is fine.
Okay, so
you can vary your airspeed there and kind of feel it out.
80 knots for a max glide would be great for me.
The shot.
Okay, so I'm going to put the collective a little bit down.
All right.
Right. And that's pretty far down for me.
All right.
I'm going to do a decel as pedal input. Got your RPM, right?
Customary traffic bonanza 551.
There's 80. Let me pull it down to 320.
For 24. Straight in.
It's 90 knots.
It's nice max glide. I still have plenty of left pedal margin.
Yeah, you're showing right there. You're on the stop.
Oh, so that was your foot. Okay, coming back to a nominal. Get the airspeed back to about 65.
It's good.
RPM coming up.
It's about 75, 70.
And I still have some tail rotor left.
About 10, 12% right there.
It's still very
75
predictable.
knots.
Didn't give me as much left pedal as I thought, but okay, ready to terminate?
All right.
Okay, coming on.
All right, engine's reestablished, and rotor RPM is good.
Very docile characteristics in the max glide, which is usually where they lose it. Cool. Would you like to demonstrate one for me that's more on the test pilot schedule margin, so you can show me what's going on?
Oh, as far as auto rotation?
Any of the maneuvers.
We could do runway work, we could do auto-rotative work, we could do any of those.
How about one auto, the way you guys do it by the schedule, and then we can do pedal margins, then we just go home, because I think
I have the controls.
I've got the controls, my hands and feet are off.
All right, well, come back around to the left, clear left.
Clear as far as I can see.
Seneca 7684 Charlie's 10 miles to the west on a straight in for runway 06.
I'll look for him.
Gunnison.
It's going to be a little small Seneca. Yeah, you can see what you guys are advertising.
Gunnison area traffic. BLR test vehicle is holding short for runway crossing for the landing traffic. Gunnison.
Yeah, and the string never agrees with the ball. I hate that.
I don't look at the ball. I look at the string.
Yeah. We do a lot of side slip characteristics, and we have to use this for test. We've been 2.5 balls out for stability testing, to where you have to actually increase and decrease your speed for static stability, to where, you know, to go faster, your cyclic has to be going forward or have a positive gradient. And a lot of times the gradients are actually flat because your cyclic doesn't move. What you don't want is a negative gradient, to where you have to
take
pull
it back out.
Yeah, you have to come back to go faster.
Oh yeah, because that's like a diverging stability curve, isn't it?
Yeah,
it wants to dive into it and keep on going. You're looking for neutral. You're not looking for too positive or too negative. You're looking for neutral.
Well, neutral or positive. You want it to be positive, you know, ideally.
Gunnison traffic, Seneca 7684
You have to do this.
Charlie's on about a 10-mile final for runway 6.
5.51 to the right, 703 to the left, to validate what Airbus has already produced for
test vehicle
lateral center of gravity
runway
envelope, right?
24 and 6
we did runway work with it, max
traffic.
one way, max the other way, and that was...
You do the whole corner, so you're going to go max forward, max left, max forward, max right, max aft, max right, max...
There's
max
actually
left.
6 points, actually 5 points, because there's that knee to where you're at a max gross weight forward.
Then it starts to do this.
Yeah, starts converging. All right, there's 10.5. We'll get turned around here. I haven't flown in
Gunnison area traffic. BLR test vehicle is clear of the active.
Wind is showing actually it's going between 203 and 110, so now it's 235.
Yeah, I mean, it changes. Out here a bit. I'm going to climb a little bit more. So what we normally do is we start at a lower airspeed. I'll start at 50 knots, and then we got to go down to 40 knots. And then what we do is we take stick positions and everything else, which produces our like autorotative glides, so it just validates the HV charts, is what we do. All right, clear left.
As far as I can see.
We're slowing down on the turn here. We'll get set up.
Missed it. I don't know if that Seneca made it in or not, but I'll be looking for him.
And we're just going to kind of shoot down this valley here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get set up at 50 knots. I'm going to reduce speed to 40 and then increase speed to 60. It just shows, you know, the stability of the aircraft.
Get a little bit more vertical airflow across the tail boom.
Yeah. You're checking, yeah, the upstream of the wind, whether that's creating any issues. All right, so sitting at 50 knots, we're going to lower the collective and go ahead and enter auto rotation.
Gunnison traffic, Seneca 7684 Charlie, 4-mile final for runway 6, Gunnison.
Engine still running.
All right, so we stabilize at 50 knots, plus or minus 2 knots. Right there is where it starts getting all crazy. Let's go back to 40 knots.
How much left pedal margin do you have left right now?
20, 18%, 20, that's 35 knots. Let's go ahead and go over slightly and get down to 55. The faster you go, the less pedal margin you end up getting. Right there I'm showing about 14, 15%. 50 knots showing about 13%. Let's go to 60. We have to actually hold these points. We do it very early in the morning. We have to hold these points for like 10 knots, or for 10 seconds. Right there, about 65, we're showing 12% margin. And plenty of capability of actually demonstrating a moment.
Yeah, and a low nominal auto-rotate of RPM.
Yep. So, once again, we can go faster, drag the rotor RPM down. Once again, we still got 8% margin at 70, 75 knots, and still be able to generate a rate and have full control. Okay, let's go ahead and recover and lower the collective, throttle coming back in. Rotor RPM's established, and that's established.
Gunnison traffic, Seneca 7684 Charlie, short final, runway 6, Gunnison.
I still don't have him inside. Oh, there he is, over the trees.
Just over the trees. And Gunnison in Unicom, could I get a wind check from you?
Winds are showing calm, Dan.
Sounds great, thank you.
You got 138 at 1.7, and I thought I saw a little bit of ruffle on the water, but
it's pretty much a crosswind to the runway. It's real close. We'll go to 2-4, and then once he clears, we'll set up for an OGE demonstration like right sideward flight.
Third your side.
Yeah.
So we'll revisit this thing about, you know, they got a TAC marked at 405, and they've nullified input to XPA for rotor RPM increase.
Traffic, Seneca 7684
What's their
Charlie.
plan about getting it back up?
We're going to go
Obviously, they equipped it for such.
24,
and how's that going to affect the testing of this if they go ahead and give a software revision that brings that
Seneca
XPA back into play?
You just going back up there?
Yeah, it's affirmative. We're on an instrument lesson. We're going to refigure our instruments and then depart 2-4.
Copy that.
And Gunnison Air Traffic Experimental Helicopter 131 Tango Tel is on a left down for 2-4. Will be a full-length test for Gunnison. We'll advise when clear.
Seneca, did you copy the traffic?
Copy the traffic, 84 Charlie.
We'll do is we'll go set down on runway 24. Get our altimeter set, get about 100 feet above.
Runway environment's clear to the west.
All right, we just got the Seneca taxiing on Alpha.
He did say he was going to be coming back to depart 2-4.
Yeah.
Look at those orange aspens up there.
Oh, it's too early. It's way too early, my friend.
Out.
All right, we clear over there?
Still clear. I don't see any birds in the immediate area.
And Gunnison Air Traffic Experimental 1 Tango Hotel left base to final runway 24 will be full stop and then full length test on the runway 24. So we do a lot of low speed regime in everything we do because that's where this is going to either, you know, Airbus had a concern about, okay, well, the mod's just going to stop working and all of a sudden you're not going to have the efficiencies. We've been all over this. All right, no cautions, no warnings, all the gauges are in the green.
Do we have fuel?
Always good to have fuel, unless you're on fire.
Yeah. Well, Airbus doesn't understand. They never have really been oriented towards the in the bush utility guys, and it's hard to get them to understand that we're not all executives.
Yep, exactly.
And this is where I live. I live below
right
40
here.
knots, and I'm working with an external load, and I'm working with wind shears at high gross weights.
Yep, exactly. Okay, so we're sitting about 7350 or so. So let's go up to 7450 for IGE. We're going to do right sideward flight.
So this is going to be left pedal margin check?
Right. Oh, stand by, yeah. Set up here. All right, power margins all look good. And you would agree that's OGE?
It's definitely more than 5 feet.
Yeah, exactly. What we normally do is we use GPS ground speed. So we actually get moving sideward. We have to stabilize at 5 knots. And we evaluate pedal activity, evaluate collective position, we evaluate torque, we evaluate all of these things, cyclic margins, and everything else. We have to be on our heading and we can't be climbing.
So right now with that sideward flight, you're still pretty close to 0 thrust, even right.
All right, so let's go to 10 knots.
You're just starting to creep out of 0 thrust, but you're still close to 0 thrust.
Very low pedal activity compared to the baseline.
What's your degree of heading yaw allowable?
It's -5. So let's go to 15. 17 is our cert point. The right roll, you end up getting a lot of right roll in the aircraft, but that's just inherent to this aircraft. What it takes.
So how do you harmonize your airspeed 17 knots with ground speed 17 knots?
It's one and the same because we have our wind speeds that are below 3 on the runway as far as the heading goes. There is a pace vehicle setup that you can actually do. Let me get up to 15 here.
So is the 17 knots for certification an indicated airspeed or a true airspeed?
It is, well, indicated. You're not going to get indicated because you're flying sideways. You're just, all we're doing right now is we're saying, okay, if we're in a hover and we have 15 knots of wind coming from this side, that I still have control of the aircraft and there's still margins available.
So
let's go up to 25.
That's more of a 17 knots of true airspeed then?
That's correct. It's simulating wind speed. All right, so that's where your pedal requirement goes way up because the aero body effect starts taking. Right there is 27 knots. Once again, let's get
just went to
on.
0 thrust.
Yep.
Now you're pushing the other direction a little bit.
Yeah, raise the collective just to get. There is, let's get our climb gone, right there.
And you've got wind on the lake coming from the southwest right now.
Yeah, exactly. Well, but still, I mean, it gives you plenty of directional control. Even on the 045, still flying this way. Seneca, are you ready to go?
Doesn't look like he's pulled out of the run-up area yet.
Once again, 045.
Negative, we're just programming in GPS.
So we have to actually demonstrate all of these things in 5-knot increments all the way down this runway, both IGE and OGE.
You do that at sea level as well?
Sea level and Leadville.
Okay.
So we completely do this. So here, you can move around to the 090. Once again, it's the same demonstration. Except for this is where your right pedal becomes aging. Did you hear the RPM go up? That's that right pedal XPA.
So the XPA is still doing it, it's just not letting it go past 394.
That's correct. 394 is the max. Once again, then you can do rearward flight. We do all of these things. Fly, that's demonstrating a left quartering wind.
Right. It's really stable.
This is exactly what I wanted to show you. I mean, if you look at my feet, even with the wind and all of that, it's just not doing anything.
Oh, well, the heading twitchiness and stability is definitely nice. This thing doesn't like right crosswind, so a right quartering crosswind would be the worst regime.
Okay, we'll come back and do that. And Gunnison Air Traffic, Sperman 1 Tango Toby, left down runway 24.
Think you can get it into an MCP cruise here in
yeah, why don't you take the controls and let's go out and do that.
I have controls.
You have the controls.
All right, gonna climb.
All right, what altitude you shoot for?
Probably 1,000 feet. Just
All right, so it'd be 9,000 feet.
Be nice to the neighbors.
Right.
Or should I say nice to the horses?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, let's go back to FLI.
Right, one.
FLI showing. And let's see if we can get it to, now we're at 8.
What are you going to do here?
I'm just going to do an MCP cruise.
Okay, 131 is your VNE, and that's usually pretty close to VH, which is
Montrose
MCP
traffic,
cruise.
or Gunnison traffic, Seneca 7684 Charlie's at the 24 end, ready for departure, and the traffic at Gunnison advice, please.
Helicopter's clear, and we'll go ahead and remain outside for your departure.
Right,
we'll extend.
7684 Charlie, taking runway 24 for immediate departure, when we'll be straight out and then a left turn to the Blue Mesa VOR, Gunnison.
Once we get over this mesa, I'm going to neutralize that rate of climb.
Okay.
Let's get up a little bit closer to that, what are we, 131 you say for our VNE?
Yeah, 131's VNE at 8,000 feet. 9,000 is going to be 3 more than that.
I don't think I need to take it more than 120, 125, it's fine.
No, 125.
My feet aren't moving, by the way.
So 128 is actually VNE at 9,000.
My feet aren't moving. It's still fairly stable. It's fine. That's good.
All right.
And then it's going to be a fairly large power reduction. And once again, it's a fairly stable and predictable even pedal input. I'm trying to nail the string is what I'm trying to do.
Absolutely. It's a good point.
Didn't take much. I mean, it's still a helicopter, but... All right, turning my way.
All right.
Seneca looks like he's gone.
Affirmative. Outbound to the Blue Mesa VOR. Clear on the right.
So just do a nice leisurely back to the runway. We'll shoot for the numbers so we can do and have a little bit of room to do a right quartering crosswind OGE.
All right, sounds great.
Temperatures and pressures are good. The lights got fuel, and
Sounds
the fan is not running.
And sitting about 8,900, 9,000 feet density altitude.
Flying an Echo is like having training wheels.
Yeah, they do make it a little bit easier for you.
It's not like an old L1.
Oh, I know. Did all the testing on the L3, the straights and performance, and it was fun.
Is that substantial?
Yeah, it did pretty good. It's I just had the straight product on it. We tested some other products on it, which had a good result, but you know that market. All right, no cautions, no warnings. Fuel looks good. Gauges, pressures look good.
I hadn't noticed the stick clickety-click until right now when I wiggled it. It looks like our wind dropped, at least on the other end of the runway, because the lake went flat again.
Yeah.
A little bit of an updraft there.
And the lake's clear and the river's got a little bit, so it's kind of in and out.
It's that time of day.
It is.
I did something a couple, 3 or 4 years ago that was
Looks
a lot
good
of
for
fun.
altitude.
That was, I went and did glider.
Really?
Yeah, I did my commercial glider. You want to talk about learning to feel wind updrafts and downdrafts and stuff like that. Flying a glider gets you there.
That would be fun to do.
Okay, I will turn the controls back over to you.
Right, I have the controls.
You have the controls, I'm off.
I have
Hands
the
and feet are clear.
controls.
So,
And Gunnison Air Traffic Experimental 1 Tango Tail will be taken runway 24 full length test, Gunnison. All right, we'll get up to 7450. We're still clear on the left, clear on the right. And recovery will be right, so you know.
okay.
Tango Hotel, Unicom, wind still calm.
Thank you, sir. Torque margins, all the margins look good. Start off 090 and then we'll move around into that. Sit there, we'll sit about 20 knots or so, right in that area.
Since this is going to be the most taxing on that left pedal margin,
Yeah.
how much of an improvement did that right quartering do from the baseline aircraft, the unmodified aircraft, to what you got here?
It's usually anywhere from 5 to 10% or so.
The average pilot be able to feel that?
Well, the average pilot has muscle memory. That's the problem. All right, so this is the right quartering, and we have wind, of course.
Yeah, that's
Stabilized here.
that tail rotor. Don't piss me off. I'm getting in a vortex ring state area.
What do you think about that?
You're at zero thrust. It's basically holding what you've asked it to hold with that power with almost zero thrust.
That's 22 knots, 23 knots.
Still has a little bit of inherent twitch, but it's not as bad as it would have been if it was unmodified. If I had been trying to hold that as a tailwind, I would have been working the pedals a lot more than what I see you doing right there, and I would definitely have had a slightly different margin than that.
I mean, that's almost neutral. Have you ever hit the aft cyclic stop?
No. I have never been that far forward, CG.
We'll come around just a little bit more, so a little bit out of 90, 105 area. The speed back up. And we've got 179, a little bit of a wind component.
You can see it on the lake again too.
Back in this back corner here a little bit more. Once again, yeah, you get into that tail rotor where it starts working and working you.
Yep. I don't think you're ever going to get rid of that unless you get rid of a tail rotor, but
I mean, it stabilizes out and you get a benefit like this. You know? At 20 knots, which is far past the point, and it is a lot less squirrely than the baseline.
And I'm watching your pedals, not only the position, but how much you're working them, and it does seem to me like you're working them a lot less than I would be if I was having to hold 17 knots of a quartering right tailwind.
Yeah.
I choose, if I had my druthers, I would choose to put my tail directly into the wind versus a quartering wind because it acts a lot nicer.
Yeah, it does. You don't have that, like you said, that vortex ring state building up, ready to do something to you. And this, it makes it far more comfortable if you have to be able to do this. And it's been repeatable on just about everything we do. And the further thing it does, which a lot of people aren't looking at, when you start getting up near your limits and your N1 margins, what happens when you start incurring these things? You start seeing a lot of spiking, a lot of this. Well, the transients we've reduced tremendously. All right, so let's get going just a little bit faster here. We'll recover right. Once again, that's 25 knots right there. The pedals are just about neutral.
I can see.
Okay, recovery right.
So have you taken this test up to 35 knots?
Taking it to 45.
35, okay.
45, some of the, you take the aircraft?
I've got the aircraft controls.
You have the aircraft, yep. And you can go do whichever you want. We've done it up there. There's some areas that cyclic margin becomes an issue, but it is actually improved with our kit on it. Actually ended up getting more airspeed with our kit than the baseline aircraft.
Because you've got more power available for the main rotor rather than the tail rotor robbing it.
Yeah. Can you believe we've been doing this for an hour and 20 minutes?
Oh.
You're having fun, that's why.
I know, because one thing leads into another.
And
Like, oh, what about this? Oh, what about this? I don't mind that. This is my life. I've been doing this since I was a kid, so I've never really considered any other career because the engineering and the application of the engineering, how things work, like when you and I first talked, I was telling you about what my approach to the aircraft is. You got to know how it works before you can really fly it well. And that leads into this kind of stuff. Well, if that's the case, this improvement, let's go look at this improvement and see how it affects the flight regime. I've always done that, even just on my own. I don't know. I can't get away from it.
you enjoy the flight test world. And it's gorgeous flying in this area. You fly in the mountains all the time.
Did a short haul in a B3 at 14.3.
Wow.
Up in the Sierras. It was a really light aircraft, but I had 3 people on board, full med gear bag, 45 gallons of fuel. Of course, I was only burning like 28 up there. And hovered out of ground effect with an OAT of 54 Fahrenheit, and I was at Delta -5.
Wow.
A good engine. A little bit of uplift there. So the only thing I really would like to do, I'll go back to the numbers, and I'm just going to do...
Traffic, flight 6 Fox Zulus, 9 miles southeast for landing on runway 6.
9 miles southeast.
He's going to be entering a pattern then. Hey, Gunnison traffic, helicopter 131 Tango Hotel is turning a left base, runway 24, Gunnison.
Gunnison traffic, citation 16 Golf Golf, taxi runway 24, Gunnison.
Taxiing.
Flight 6 Fox Zulu is going to switch to 24.
Okay, so you're saying you want to get on the runway and...
Just want to do a quick stop.
Okay, sure.
One of it that's, a little bit more than hover power, kind of an acceleration, and then abort. Fairly smooth, even, but full range power change. Up, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Hey, Gunnison traffic, helicopter 131 Tango Hotel is turning short final, runway 24. We'll be occupying the runway for a little bit until the citation comes in, the other aircraft switch into 24s needs the runway.
6 Fox Zulu is on left base about 3 miles for runway 24.
Tango Hotel, then we'll swap over to the taxiway and give you the runway.
Sorry, we're in your way.
Inbound traffic, gas Unicom, winds of 2303, altimeter 3029er.
Temperatures and pressures, no lights, got fuel.
Great.
Golf, gas Unicom.
And
I do
citation
have
taxi.
one on about a 3 mile final and a helicopter that's going to do a test, also on the runway 24.
Okay, yeah, we heard him. 16 Golf Golf, taxi in 24.
It's easier, we can just go around and then come back and get it set up the way you want to get it set up.
Yeah, it's okay. You don't need to burn
And
up
we have
any
the
more
citation
flight time.
taxi in on Alpha. We'll remain beyond Alpha 7.
Thanks.
And it's weird as far as approaches go. It's still in my DNA. This is more of a normal approach profile. I still feel like I don't have enough power pulled in.
I know.
And I just don't like it. I like doing a powered approach. It's the kind of textbook shit that the FAA teaches, tests you for, is really ridiculous.
Flight 6 Foxtrot Zulu.
Okay, tail's coming your way.
And clear right.
A little bit of a torque turn here. Fixed pitch pedal position. Let's see how well it does. It's very mild, not twitchy.
And aircraft inside short file.
I got him. I had to make one little pedal correction there at the end, and that was it. I think it's because we got a quartering tailwind. I can see grass, but that's us.
That is one interesting paint scheme.
It's cool. And Gunnison traffic 131 Tango Hotel will be taking the active runway 24 behind the landing Pilatus. Gunnison. Should make the citation happier. All right, so we do have a little bit of wind. I can definitely feel it.
Yep.
Wind from your side. The rotors are talking to us. I can hear it. I'm working the cyclic more than I'm working the pedals, which is kind of unusual. It is unusual, isn't
showing
it?
winds from right about there. Yeah, it is.
Normally you're working the pedals and you're trying to keep the cyclic still. This one is like, huh.
Tango Hotel, winds are 200 at 4.
Thanks, sir.
A lot of 6 Fox.
Okay, I'm just going to do a runway alignment because I want to see what kind of margins I need for... There's an interesting pedal stab with not a lot of reaction. Right there. Temperatures and pressures are good, still got fuel. Fan is running. Here we go, it's clear runway in front of us. So I'm just going to do accelerate. Try to accelerate in the in-ground effect profile, not being real radical. Just a little bit of power reduction, a little bit of acceleration. Here we go. And then level out. And then add power back. Yeah, that was pretty benign. It's kind of like doing a power recovery auto rotation.
Yep.
And all of a sudden you have that, you know, the pitch pull and your re-engagement and pedal input at the same time. Yeah, it's all over the place. Mostly it's induced because you're dancing on the pedals because of the changing RPM. And they're coming up and down and your feet are going undershoot, overshoot, undershoot, overshoot. But this, the rotor downwash dampens that out so you're not fighting it so much, so it's easier to hold the heading. I'm going to do it one more time. Temperatures and pressures are good. Fan is off. We still have fuel. Here we go. Wind on the nose. Okay, here we go. Level out. Reduce the power, not the balloon. Accelerative attitude, and then increase in power to stop without inducing a rate of descent. It's easy to hold a heading.
Citation, are you ready to go?
Yes, sir, when you'll let me.
Let's go ahead and clear the runway. Experiment 1 Tango Hotel, clear Alpha 6 for the citation departure.
Okay, we'll be rolling then.
Appreciate it.
That was an easy, smooth transition. You know, a descent and a power pedal turn by reducing the power. I just kept my feet right where they were. Just kind of carved into it. Right? Would you mind if I did a little bit of a coordination maneuver down to the pad?
That's fine.
Okay, so this is going to be the power pedal. So it's going to be nose turning right, tail turning left.
Okay.
And I'm going to get away from that sign there.
Okay.
I'm not going to go much higher than this.
Just slow, we've got 2 more coming up there.
Okay, so I can feel the wind. There we go. I'm going to see if I can do this fairly evenly.
610 Golf Golf, we'll be a right turn out of Alpha 24 gun.
Back here, the elevator wants to dig in. Right there.
Well, that was also benign. I didn't have to work my feet a whole lot. I know the rate changed a little bit because I'm not very practiced at that, but
That's fine.
it felt pretty good to me. If I was in another helicopter, especially at sea level, where the tail rotor's got a lot of instantaneous bite, I'd have been dancing on the pedals a little bit there, and it would have been a hell of a lot more twitchy. Slow it down a bit. Okay, what does this thing do in auto rotations? Does it tend to do an adverse yaw?
No, not at all.
So if you did a hovering auto rotation, where you did that momentary airflow reverse, does it Does it make you have to put in a little bit more left pedal than you need?
No, it's nothing. It's benign.
Okay. Probably you don't have enough time for that airflow to really establish then, huh?
No, I mean, you know, it adjusts to the airflow that's going over the tailbone.
And our fan is on.
Yep.
And my nose itches. There's your 3 per rev right there, causing the mustache to vibrate.
Yeah, there you go.
It's still smooth. I mean, you're picky, I'm picky, but this is pretty acceptable if I was flying this in the field.
I'm rough on my maintenance guys, and they take good care of the aircraft, and I appreciate that, and I applaud them. I really do.
All right, I'm going to, you mind if I air taxi? I don't want to waste any
fine.
more time. Okay, here we go. Temperatures and pressures are good.
Get out, debrief, and then I'll take Alana for a ride.
Do you want fuel?
We'll talk, see how long. We just park out here, they come to us.
Okay, pedals turning my way. I've got the sign in sight.
Clear on the right.
And we're down.
Yeah, copy that. Dan, I'm going to take a data record for Gary when you land, so 10 seconds.
Taking one right now.
Thank you very much.
Do you normally land pointing at the hangar?
No, we point that way. You can
Okay.
land whichever way you'd like.
Tail clear your way?
Yes, sir, it is clear.
Okay. And let's see what it feels like when you're down back to an inch over
All right.
the ground.
Feels clear. It's going to be smooth as silk.
Well, there's that ground interference right there.
A quartering
So
tailwind, too.
Okay, we're on the ground. Collective locked. There we go. Are you leaving it running?
Now, we're going to shut down,
Okay.
debrief, and then we'll bring her in.
So what we're going to do is we're going to shut down, debrief, and then we'll take the next one and figure out how much fuel we need.
All right, so we can get rid of all of the lights, the belly strobe, leave the tail on, pitot heat can come off. Then what's your normal shutdown procedure?
I cool mine down 30 seconds like this, and then I go to ground idle for a couple 5 seconds, and then shut it off. That's normally what I do, but that's just me and my engines.
All right, let's go ahead and do that.
So I started the timer.
All right.
After you started turning electrical, so we're at 30.
All right.
Okay, and our horn is still on. It's another way we can check our dink and our horn. There's the dink. There's the horn, still working. That's good. And then you want generator off?
Yes.
Generator off. Generator's offline. Switch identified. Coming
Identified.
off.
All right.
And we got positive cutoff.
Excellent.
And friction.
HOBBS.
141.2. That is affirmative, 141.2.
Thank you.
I'm going to peel my flight suit off, and I'm going to let Alon use my helmet and flight suit.
Okay.
All right.
That's great.